Hey, it's me, Bobby33, and welcome to part 2 of the Sonic 06 review. In this part, I'm focusing on Silver's story, so please watch part 1 for Sonic's story, plus the backstory of this game's history. With that being said, let's continue.
To kill someone to save the world. Is that really the right thing to do?
The story takes place in the future where everything is destroyed. Suddenly, Blaze the cat informs Silver the Hedgehog that Ibris is attacking again. Once they defeated the monster, Silver complains how he needs to find a way to complete this monster for good instead of just living in chaos every day. Here comes this mysterious character named Methodist, who looks like Shadow the Hedgehog, and we're going to learn about more in Shadow's story, which is part 3. Anyway, he offers to let both Silver and Blaze go back in time to kill the Ibris Trigger, which is Sonic the Hedgehog. Silver, of course, takes the offer, and both he and Blaze went back in time before the destruction happened in Soriana. Both somehow got separated, and Amy appears suddenly to help Silver, not knowing his intention. To keep the rest of the story short, and don't worry, I come back to it later on in the video, Silver had his chance to finish Sonic, but Amy stops him, and their conversation caused him to think about the morality of the situation. Later, Shadow told him the truth about Sonic and went back in time to discover the true origin of Ibris. And after that, Silver and Blaze went back to their time to defeat Ibris once and for all. Well, maybe. Or in actuality, no, but in Silver's story, technically, yes. So I guess kind of a happy ending, except for that one part, but again, we'll get to that a little bit later on. Let's talk about Silver and his gameplay. His main gimmick is telekinesis. With that, he can grab objects, stun enemies, bend some objects at certain location or spots, and levitate. For the most part, it works pretty well. Again, comparing it to the other stuff in the game, not in general, but I was able to uh, defeat enemies with little to no effort. All you have to do is grab some objects and pretty much face towards the enemy, and for the most part, uh, they hit them. It probably takes more than a couple of boxes to destroy some of the bigger enemies, but it works. The camera is still your worst enemy. Just like I said in Sonic's story, the camera can definitely get in the way. And with Silver, it's especially noticeable when you're in small areas where you need to, see your enemies and take aim at them. Well, to be fair, you can hit the enemies in a general direction, and most of the time you hit your target. But again, the camera is very bad. And I feel like most of the upgrades are pretty pointless. The only main upgrade you can that I find pretty useful is the stun your enemies. Definitely a very useful ability I use a lot of the time, and you'll be able to grasp enemies like that as well. While the other upgrades, I completely forgot about it, and I think I only use like once in a while, like the being able to go fast for a couple of feet to get through that one mission. That was pretty pointless, and sometimes the physics can be pretty crazy, especially with the objects. If you're not careful, they can go flying everywhere without your control. I mean, beyond your control. Uh, I have some few examples of that happening, especially one that desert area where objects just go flying out of nowhere, and you can also get hit by your own objects that you're carrying, especially the spikes one. so be careful they're not behind you. And some of the levels in Silver's story is questionable. Like some platform jumps, I feel like you can barely make. Like it wasn't originally meant for Silver in the first place. But for the most part, the level design is somewhat competent. You can definitely work your way around it. Again, this is a bad game, and I'm, trying to give a little credit where credit's due. But in terms of if you can actually play as Silver, it's it works pretty well. He's also pretty slow paced, despite finishing the level around the same time as Sonic. Like, of course, Silver is not super fast. He's not doing these crazy platforming stunts. Silver is more slow paced. You have to defeat enemies to progress. Sometimes, at least. Other times, you can just go past them without any problems, and I recommend doing that if you can. Uh, but for the most part, I finished the level within 10 to 15 minutes, which is around the same time I finished as Sonic, except for the later levels. That took a long time, especially when I keep on dying over and over again. And Silver as a character, at first he wasn't very well liked, especially when he's another Hedgehog character. Uh, we have Sonic, of course, Amy being the love interest. Metal Sonic, I'm not sure you want to technically count that, but he's pretty much a metal hedgehog. Of course, there's Shadow, who's also in the game. And now we got Silver from the future. And not only that, his gameplay is way too different from Sonic and Shadow, who are fast characters. And that wouldn't be a big problem if he was like a minor supporting character that you use every now and then, but he's pretty much built as one of the three main characters, and you do spend a lot of time with him. But over the years, I feel like Silver is more likable as a character, at least among the fan base, especially in the comic books, in the IDW comics, where he shines the most. So I feel like people are going to like him. This is the first time that Blaze the Cat is playable in the main 3D Sonic game, and unfortunately, I think it's the only time she's playable in the main 3D Sonic game. In this game, she plays similar to Sonic. She has a homing attack, a double jump that gives her pretty decent height, and a spinning fire attack, which I swear doesn't work half the time, so I would recommend avoiding using that move if possible. I will say that Blaze is probably the best character, the best playable character in the story, and maybe even the whole game. But the problem is that you only play with her like maybe 3 times, 4 tops, and it's only like in the first half of the story, while the other half she's just pretty much disappeared. Well, she does appear every now and then in the story, but you don't really play as her anymore. Makes me think that she was added in there late in development, mainly because she's another Sonic character and they just needed another character in that story. See, Brace the Cat first debuted in Sonic Rush, which came out in 2005, which, Sonic 06 could have been developed during that time, but I'm not entirely sure about the timeline there. She made her appearance in Sonic Rush. She was a princess for another dimension, but this Bracer Cat is pretty different story wise because she's just part of Silver's future, which means she's probably in the same timeline as Sonic and the others. So pretty much the canon of Sonic Rush and the other games is different from this game, Sonic 06, and it seems like Sega, is keep on going with the Princess from the Other Dimension storyline for Braze, and I think that's a pretty good choice. Braze the Cat, story-wise, don't really interact with the other characters now I think about it. At first, she knows what a Chaos Emerald is, and she said of a Blue Hedgehog like she met Sonic before. If you if Sonic Rush is actually canon to this game, which wouldn't make any sense. But after that, she really doesn't get involved, doesn't really interact with anybody else, and kind of just like an invisible friend for Silver the Hedgehog, pretty much. I mean, she does see Sonic like later on, but they never talk, and I don't think they know each other, making the Sonic Rush canon not compatible with this game. But then again, this game is pretty rushed, so I'm not sure what the original intention was. Amy is debatable the worst character in the game. Well, personally, I think she's like the second worst character compared to Tails because I can at least complete a level with her with little to no problem. Pretty much, she has a traditional hammer attack, a double jump, which is pretty delayed, and it feels like gravity is holding her back, preventing her to jump long distances. And she can turn invisible for some reason. This is the first time I believe that she has that ability. It's not explained, and I don't think she ever has that ability ever again. So that was just a random addition for her mechanic. And the worst thing about the turning invisible thing is that it's on a time limit. So when she appears again, she does this animation that takes a couple of seconds. But during those couple of seconds, you could be hit no problem. So I would recommend when time's about to run out, you jump or attack to cancel out that uh, animation. She's only been played a few times. In this case, it's thank goodness. And just like Brace, she has a rest in the story since she disappeared like in the second half, and fortunately, she doesn't stay along with Silver's journey. She pretty much takes Silver to the desert, stops him from killing Sonic, and then for some reason she's on Eggman's ship and found the princess, uh, rescue her. You think that would be a gameplay between those two scenes, but nope. It was just one scene to another. You play that one mission to destroy all that robot, and that's it. You don't hear from Amy ever again, except for the final story, of course. But Amy, well, if Braves was added in development, I just feel like with Amy, they have no idea what to do with her, so this is added her to Silver's story for pretty much no reason. The levels are mostly the same as Sonic stages, location wise, and just like the levels in Sonic Story, these levels are memorable but for the wrong reasons. Well, let's get this one out of the way. The infamous ball puzzle and the desert level. You see, there's this ball puzzle that Silver needs to get in a specific hole, especially at the end. And the gimmick is that you can't pick it up. You only get like a certain number of hits, and if you fail to get it into the hole in time, you have to start all back over. And the last part is like the most annoying. It's I had to use the infamous grist, the door glitch, to complete that level because I just didn't want to deal with that. And speaking of giant balls, that lab section. Now, to be fair, this is probably mostly my fault. So, I blame myself more than the game, but this is one section that keeps catching me off guard. You have to ride on this giant ball to progress to the next area. And it sounds simple enough. Well, and even though the game mechanics is working against me a little bit, uh, the one thing that keeps catching me off guard is that laser thing. It goes on and off every now and then. Sometimes you need to find a little switch to turn it off, but other times you just have to wait for it to go on or off, which sounds easy on paper, but I swear this laser has a weird pattern. Like, it's inconsistent. Like, for one moment it could be pretty short, and the other moments it could be very long. And once you make that attempt to go to the other side, it turns on automatically. Again, that's probably just me, but I really dislike that area. Other than that, all the levels mostly feel the same. Just go around each area, do a certain thing, and pretty much destroy all the enemies. It's really not that memorable except for the crushable level designs and stuff. Silver is not really that interesting of a character gameplay wise, to be honest. And well, I would mention Brace and Amy, but again, we don't play as them as much, so it's pretty much mostly Silver. The boss battles have the same problem with having drawn out attack patterns and then striking at the weak point. I'd say the best battles is from Sonic and Shadow fights. They're quick and they're a bit fun, especially if you're able to grab them with Silver's telekinesis. They're pretty fun, but the fight with Ibris, the first one and the final one, feels the same, and it's pretty easy. It's a bit underwhelming, and I probably would have found some enjoyment in it if the attack wasn't drawn out. There is more interesting stuff happening in Silver Story compared to Sonic, but it's weird now how dark and serious the story in Sonic games used to be. Back then, it took itself seriously, albeit a bit over the top at times, with little to no comedy or at least self awareness to what they're doing. Now, at least as of this recording, Sonic games are more like a Saturday morning cartoon. Silver's main story is deciding whether it's right to kill a person, or Sonic in this case, to save the world. He went from yes to no, but never completely went directly to A to B. What I mean by that is that it seems like there's like missing pieces where Silver will gradually change his mind. Nothing really convinced him, really, if you think about it. I mean, Amy did stop him, and he thought about it, but again, he still thinks that Sonic is the Ibis trigger, and doing that will save his future. So I don't really think he really changed his mind. And when Shadow and Silver time travel, found out that the Ibis is inside the princess, which is a pretty real scene because her dad, I'm not sure what exactly what he's doing in that lavatory. Pretty much Ibis escaped and pretty much sealed his spirit inside his daughter, and daughter is not allowed to cry, not even once, which is really, really unbelievable, even in a game like this. So, I don't know. It's like that's probably the most craziest thing about this game, next to the one scene in the final story. As I mentioned before, Amy and Brace phased out of the story pretty much. Brace still appears every now and then, giving some dialogue to Silver, but never really interacting with anybody else or contributing anything too important, at least not by anything that could have been done with another character. And in the end of the story, Brace the cat sacrificed herself, mainly because the Chaos Emerald wouldn't accept Silver as a offering, pretty much. So Brace the cat took his place and presumed that she died, but it's possible she went to another dimension, and maybe that would set up the continuity of Sonic Rush. But again, story. This whole story pretty much is null and void. So don't think too much about that. Anyways, that's pretty much the end of Sarah's story. I thought it was a pretty interesting ride. Uh, a lot of questions more than answers, to be honest, but still fun to talk about compared to Sonic's story. When I first played Silver Story 15 years ago, I didn't like it, mainly because it was too different from a traditional Sonic game. I was one of those person who, thought that Sonic should be fast no matter what, or at least a Sonic game should be fast and everybody else should be like fast paced at least. But now, playing it back again, 15 years later, with all the I guess the negative about Sonic 06 mostly went away. I was able to find some enjoyment in Silver's gameplay. It's not perfect. I honestly would like to see them bring this mechanic back again, see if it can then be done a bit properly. But I'm not really wishing for it as well. Uh, I thought, for the most part, Silver handled himself pretty well gameplay wise. I didn't think they needed another hedgehog in the story. I'm not sure why they decided to make another hedgehog when we got like about three other ones. But that's neither here or there. But I did enjoy Silver's telekinesis. I thought they had some decent ideas, and maybe it could work as a standalone platformer without having the Sonic brand attached to it. But for the most part, Silver is okay. I had a much better experience compared to 15 years ago, and it surprised me how much enjoyment I had with it. I do wish that Brace the Cat was more playable and had a bigger part of the story. Uh, I think she is the best female Sonic character, but also it does feel like she was put in there uh, very late in development, and that I'm hoping that Brace the Cat do get a another main role in a 3D Sonic game. I think there is potential for her. Amy, on the other hand, I didn't really enjoy. She was definitely the worst part of Silver's story. Uh, but for the most part, she was mainly nothing. Like, there is some negatives here and there. Zero positives. I can't really find any positive with Amy's gameplay. But for the most part, she's not really that bad. Or, in, let me rephrase that. She's not the most annoying thing you're going to experience in this game. Uh, Her mechanics are bad, but compared to everybody else, even with the characters I have more fun with, you're gonna have some more annoying times with them than with Amy, at least in my opinion. But for the most part, I did enjoy Silver Story. I think it's better than Sonic, and now it's on to part 3 with Shadow the Hedgehog and part 4 with the final story. So tune in for that one. This is me, Barbara Diddy, and I catch you guys later.